I'm Joshua Shepard. I was in the U.S. Navy from 2002 through 2008. I visited him on Sunday in the hospital for about an hour and a half, and he's still unable to speak. He can say a couple words, but other than that, he's the same old Scott. And his spirits are high, he's energetic, able to get around just fine, and so he had his tablet, little PC, and so we were writing back and forth on the tablet. He wasn't aware of the whole media storm around him for several days, and now he's just kind of coming to terms with it. And he said, yeah, it's just like information overload. You know, he's got all these medical issues to deal with. He's got his family that wants to be there for him. He's got the media that wants to talk to him. And so he's in an undisclosed location. He needs the privacy and time to recover. I was in New York last week for the Veterans of the 99% March on Wall Street. And so he sent us a text message. That was Wednesday. And he said, I see what you're doing out there, keep it up. And then he closed up by saying nonviolence in the face of police brutality. And I think that sums it up. He was out there camping every night, or most every night, at OccupySF before his injury. And I think he's just wishing he could be out there again. I was camping at Occupy San Francisco the night of Monday the 24th, I believe. And that's when the texts started pouring in from Occupy Oakland that they were getting raided. The following evening, when they were having their rally, I felt a sense of responsibility to go over there and lend solidarity. I didn't go down there with Scott, but I was up there in my uniform and with my Vest for Peace flag, and so he spotted me out of the crowd and came up and patted me on the shoulder, and then he was standing shoulder to shoulder with me, facing the police in front of the protesters. The police were reading over the intercom, you know, you must disperse, this is an unlawful assembly. And that struck me, and I was, you know, really just flabbergasted by the contradiction between their statement and the Constitution. We wanted to distill the hostilities between the two parties, you know, the police and the general demonstrators. We thought, you know, we have a distinct credibility with our military service. Then, without warning, this barrage of tear gas, concussive grenades, non-lethal or, quote, less lethal rounds started just being unleashed on the crowd. It was astounding to me. I couldn't believe that they were escalating in such a manner. Especially, you know, they were not in danger. They were in riot gear. We were in, you know, street clothing. Later in the evening, the next barrage from the police, there were a couple objects thrown at the police from back in the crowd, and that's uncalled for.
But that was after the actual incident with Scott and yourself. Interesting. Okay.
So I mean, on that note, yeah, there's responsibility that falls on the crowd as well. But during that incident, there was no provocation. So in the military, you have your orders, and you go forward with those orders, but it is illegal to carry out an unlawful order. So as an individual, you have to be an individual, you have to think on your own and exercise good judgment, and there's absolutely none of that. But big picture, it was Oakland's jurisdiction, and if they're going to bring backup forces in, they need to be on the same page as Oakland.
Right.
So as an agency, Oakland should certainly be accountable.
Having had served, and you know, that's about, I think the highest form of patriotism is to actually be in the military and to serve.
I would disagree.
I mean,
I think the highest form of patriotism is to speak up when it's not easy to do so. I haven't like turned into a pacifist or anything, but at the same time, I think I've served. I'm not against a Department of Defense, but that is not what the United States has. We have a Department of Offense. and we have for a long, long time. I'd contradict, you know, the status quo, the Fox News definition of patriotism, and say that, you know, I do what's best for my country because I love it. You know, people call me unpatriotic, it disgusts me. You know, we've been so tamed, and, you know, protesting has been so stigmatized. They pick the worst of protesters and protest, and that's what gets amplified in the national view, the national media. And so people are like, oh no, I don't want to do that. You know, it's just this immediate, like, visceral feeling that protesting is a bad thing. I disagree, and I think people need to hit the streets because there's a lot more of us than there are of the people in power. Well, primarily, I want to end the wars. You know, we've got two big wars, so to speak, Iraq and Afghanistan. My little brother is actually in Afghanistan right now with the Air Force. And I told him when he left I was going to do everything I could to, you know, end it and get him home. Aside from that, we're practicing our militarism in all these other countries like Yemen and Pakistan and Somalia, and dropping drones on civilian populations. And so it's just this militaristic status quo that is being spread across the world, and just the vast majority of the victims are civilian, innocent people, you know. One of the major campaigns that Iraq Veterans Against the War is working on right now is Operation Recovery, and that is to immediately stop the redeployment of traumatized troops. A large portion of the troops deployed have experienced post-traumatic stress, traumatic brain injury, military sexual trauma. Military commanders have the authority to override the medical professional's opinion. When the medical professional says, do not deploy this person, the commander has numbers to make, you know, and they say, I'm sorry about your condition, you're going. And so these guys are getting deployed, you know, 5, 6, 7, even more times. 32 veterans a day are attempting suicide. 18 of them are succeeding. There's, you know, 1 in 3 females in the military will experience sexual assault at some time during their service. That's absolutely unconscionable. This Veterans Day, IBAW is focused on the issues that female veterans face. You know, the military sexual trauma is a very stigmatized and difficult thing for female military members or veterans to speak about. But the numbers are clear as day, and we need to speak up for all of our sisters in the military. So if you're interested in supporting Operation Recovery, go to operationrecovery.org. There's a petition there that you can sign. You can support Operation Recovery monetarily, and you can get on an email list for updates on how you can help.